and welcome back to the Free to Fly online conference and fashion show. I am Patricia with a Y, and I am here with the lovely co-host Sasha coming in from BC.
Hello, everybody.
And we are here with Khadija Ali, who is an inspiring speaker who comes with a story of restoration and of triumph over hard times. She became a single mom of, was it 5 or 6 children?
5.
It was 5 children. She was left a widow and had to figure everything out. And no matter how you end up single, it can be difficult to figure out your way, whether you have 1 child or 5 children or no children. Starting out on your own again is a huge thing, and especially when it is preceded by tragedy or trauma. And Khadija has definitely lived through it all, and she's here to tell her tale. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, Sasha, for being here as well. I am so honored to be here. I thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to share tonight. And just to reiterate, my name is Khadija Ali, and I'm a coach, I'm a motivational speaker, and I'm an author. And my passion for helping women triumph over tragedy stems from my own story of surviving widowhood. I was married to my high school sweetheart for over 16 years before he succumbed to colon cancer in 2007. So I had to reinvent myself through that experience. And in 2010, I found myself in an unhealthy relationship with a man who I knew was not in alignment with who I am. I was lonely, I was hurt, and I was disconnected from myself. And I had been widowed for only about 3 years, and I was extremely vulnerable. And although I knew the relationship was toxic from the beginning, I didn't want to face the fact that I had put myself in this situation. And I didn't initially realize that I could get out and choose me at any time. I stayed with him for 2 years, and we went back and forth. We were on, we were off, we were up, we were down, more times than I could absolutely count. And I allowed myself to be devalued and used. And I want to repeat that. Like, I allowed myself to be mistreated. Now, that may not be anybody else's story. Maybe there are women out here who have met someone that was initially really nice to them. And my guy was too. Like, he made me laugh and he was easy to talk to. And that was a time in my life where I really needed that. And so how did I, or why did I allow him to mistreat me? And why did I allow it to go on? You know, how did I finally fix what I previously didn't want to face? Because my focus was on what he wanted, you know, what he needed, what he liked, what he disliked, and what his desires were. And I'll give an example. If he wanted me to come visit him, he lived like 4 hours away, I would get in my car and I'd drive there and I would see him. Regardless to what was going on in my life, regardless to what I had going on, I would drop everything and I would go and I would visit with him. Sometimes we'd have sex, and many times I didn't even orgasm. And I was closed off from my own sexual needs, wanting to please him. But I still gave of myself in the hopes that he would love and accept me. And I was willing to pay any price of lowering my worth and value as a human being to receive validation from him. So what was really at stake for me and what I was running from was myself. I didn't want to face my own demons, my own issues, and problems. It was reflected in my relationships around me. It was reflected in my finances, and it was reflected in my spirituality. I didn't want to face the truth. And what is truth? Truth is defined as the true and actual state of a matter. It's the conformity of fact or reality. It's a verified or indisputable fact, proposition, principle, or the like. And my truth was that I had buried my head in the sand because I felt inadequate, I felt confused, and I felt unworthy of anything good. But looking back, I have to say to you guys, I subconsciously called him into my life because I needed someone to help me affirm my story of unworthiness and low self-esteem and lack. But now I take full responsibility for my part in our relationship. So I guess the question is, what needed fixing? And this may sound strange to everyone listening, but nothing or no one needed to be fixed. We are all perfect, whole, and complete. I think what is wrong is our perception of events, of relationships, and of people. And this man that I was in this relationship, he wasn't wrong in and of himself. He only did what I subconsciously asked of him. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that his behavior or mine was honorable. He was out of integrity, and so was I. The lesson that I learned from all of this was one of forgiveness, one of self-love, and getting back into integrity with Khadija. I might not have learned these key values had I not had the experience. And making the decision to end the relationship was one of the hardest, but also one of the most liberating experiences that I've ever had. Because I never knew what boundaries were. I never knew what self-respect really was. It felt really weird to say no. It felt really weird to say no more. I choose me. And it hurt. It was the weirdest thing. It hurt a lot. And it hurt to know that I had to look within for the solution. And it hurt me to know that nothing or no one outside of me was the cause for the state of mind that I found myself in. And it was extremely uncomfortable to point the finger inward and go within. It really was. It hurt me to face myself. It was extremely uncomfortable, and there were days that I literally had to sit on my hands to not call him. I would get in the mirror and I would say, today I choose me. I would pull out my journal and I would write how I felt about the situation. And in that journal, I made promises to myself. I made promises that I would treat myself like the queen that I absolutely am and that I already was. So my message today to my dear sisters who are online listening is you deserve all the best that life has to offer. Take a critical look at your life. Make a decision on what needs to go. Is it people? Is it clutter? Is it weight? Truth of the matter is, I was unhappy with a lot of things in my life. And when I removed that toxic relationship, I began to see more clearly what needed to go. My spirituality, my finances, and my family needed my attention. And all of the areas of our lives are interconnected. There is no separation. So I implore anyone who's listening today to return to your true essence of divine love. I think it's time to face yourself so you can live the life destined for you. If you're listening, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself first and foremost. And one of my favorite quotes is by Maya Angelou. And it says, "You did then what you knew how to do. And when you know better, you do better." So I want my story to be a wake-up call to someone listening. We know what this project is about, and we know who it is supporting. So I do want to leave you with this, that there is a better, happier, peaceful life waiting for you, and it will happen when you fix what you can face. I'm Khadija Ali. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much, Khadija, for that moving story. And I know exactly what you're talking about in those early days. I mean, and I think it was anger. It was anger that I had to deal with the things within myself. It was supposed to be his fault.
Yes.
It was supposed to be him that was getting fixed. And it's so hard to accept in those early days. And I'm sorry, ladies, it's just something, or men, whoever is going through these things and you want to change your life, it doesn't matter how much you want them to change. It doesn't matter how much you think they should change. It doesn't matter that they really, 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 really should be the ones changing. The only way to change the situation is to look at yourself and to look at your own decisions in being there. And it hurts.
A lot.
This, Khadija, is so hurt because it doesn't seem fair. You know, we have this idea of fairness in our minds, and the bad guys get their due and the good guys get to ride free, and we do get to ride free. We do absolutely get to ride free, but it with them on the other side always getting what we think is their due. So it does, yeah, there's a lot of anger.
At the same point, and I mean, for me, I was in one of those relationships where, well, there really was a bad guy and it wasn't me, but even going to victim counseling and support afterwards, there were still things that I had to change just so that I could move on. So even if it's not, you know, yeah, okay, so they have to change, blah, blah, blah. I don't really care, because the only way I'm going to feel in control of the situation is if I take control, and the only way I can take control is affecting myself. You can't change other people.
Bingo. And that's really what I wanted people to get, is that you can't change other people. And also, too, how did you attract the person? And I know we don't talk about that a lot, especially when it's women who've been abused, because it's not right. But how do you prevent yourself from finding yourself in that situation again? You have to take a look at yourself. You cannot point the finger and look outward all the time and say, you know, well, this happened and that happened. It did happen. We absolutely know that it did happen. But how do we get to a place that, God forbid, we come across someone like that again? What do we know to look for? What do we know how to honor ourselves, to walk away from? You know, because a lot of times in those kinds of situations, it always starts out wonderful. They never show their true colors or who they are in the beginning. Everybody's nice. So
yeah, they don't bring their boxing gloves to the first date.
No. 9 times out of 10, they don't. So, you know, once you find yourself getting out of it, you know, I think that's the time to really self-reflect and heal yourself, you know, honor yourself, because being in those kinds of situations, they're telling you things about, you know, I remember there were things that he would say about my looks. There were things that he would say about my sex, you know, and if you already have low self-esteem, when somebody says that to you, like you internalize it and you make it mean something about you. So the work,
absolutely, that healing period after you get out is so very important. We hear too many times of women who leave one relationship and end up in the next one that's as bad or worse because of not taking the time to heal and find themselves, because we do have this perception within our society that we're nothing without a man. Mm-hmm. So being without that man leaves you in a state where you think that you have to find the next one, but instead of knowingly going out there and choosing a man who's going to be the best one for you. You go along and you pick the first one that comes along that says, hey, baby, and you're done again. Or at least that's the way it seems in a lot of cases. I mean, I have met new love again, and he is wonderful. And of course, Sasha has met her new man and got married to him. So it is not that you are doomed to have horrible relationships for the rest of the time, but you do need to take that time in between to really find yourself and really be.
And you know what? And that's exactly what it is. It's about finding yourself and figuring out what you like now and what you don't like now. People change. And I think that's something that a lot of us forget, is that, I mean, I'm not the same person I was even a year ago, 2 years ago. So if I keep changing, then how can I expect someone to jump right in when I don't know who I am yet?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's why I mentioned about the journal, because, you know, I started making a list inside of it. You know, what are the things that I do like? What are the things that I can do for myself that I've been waiting for someone else to do? So one of those things was like, I love flowers. I love fresh flowers. And so I put down, I'm going to buy myself flowers. And to this day, whether I'm in a relationship or not, and I guess you could say I'm in a relationship now, but I still do those things for myself. You know, it's critical to show yourself self-love, I think. And then that way you're not needy. You're not like looking for someone else to do it. If someone else does it, then it's kind of like icing on the cake. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? It's like, oh, okay, like this is nice. He's doing, like, I do that for myself anyway, but great. That's nice that you want to buy me flowers or whatever, you know, whatever it is. So I don't regret it. I may sound weird saying that, but I don't regret it. I'm a person that really believes in counting it all joy, and that it's all a part of making us, our experiences, making us who we are and who we are to be. You know, if we can kind of reframe it and look at it like that. And I'm a big person to reframe stuff too. I go back and reframe it and make it what I want to make it so that it helps me to grow. So.
Absolutely. And I'm a big fan of reframing things too, and of putting things in the right perspective, because so often in, tough relationships, toxic relationships, we get pretty twisted up on which side is up and which side is down and which side might be sideways. So it is really important to get grounded and find those keys to making those connections with yourself that are so important. And as you were saying, yes, you do change over the years. And one of the things that I experienced, I was with my ex for 22 years. I didn't know what was his like and what was my like and what I actually liked. Did I really like scrambled eggs, or did I just like the scrambled eggs because that's what I thought he would like? I didn't know. So there was experimentation in discovering what you really like. And, there's one friend of mine who her ex made her use a certain type of laundry detergent. So when she got separated, it was buying the different types of laundry detergent because now there was a choice. And another one that I remember was, what was that one? Oh, yes, that was for me. That was buying actually girl shaving materials, because for years I'd always used boy shaving materials because it was cheaper, and and finally doing those girly things was one of those other kinds of steps to freedom.
Absolutely.
And it is
it's also important on another level too, because how can you expect to find someone different and expect to find someone who's going to love you for you when you can't love you for you yet, when you don't even know who you are? And you're basically just, you're setting yourself up to find that exact same person because you're embodying so many of their traits, not yours.
Absolutely. And you know what? I made it fun. I think making it fun just being on this journey and being on this discovery of, let me try. One of the things that I did was I made a bucket list, and I started listing all of the places that I wanted to visit. I started listing the kinds of people that I wanted to be around. I started, what else was on that list? It was quite a few things. I wanted to go zip lining. I wanted to do skydiving is still up there. Jury's still out on that one. But the idea is let your imagination run wild and imagine this big, humongous, awesome life that maybe you couldn't imagine before because you were like in this box with this person, and you felt like if you stepped outside of this box, something could happen to you, or you just couldn't imagine your life being large and big and amazing. And so I think it's really important for women to know, like, especially when you're coming out of it and you've done your healing and you've done your crying, because all of that's a part of it. And I say embrace all of that. It's okay. But once you get to that place where maybe you're not crying as much, then you can start to imagine this big, amazing, powerful life for yourself. And then go out and start doing this stuff. It might be something as small as, I don't know, I like going to Barnes & Noble and perusing the aisles. Maybe you're into books. I'm into books. So
yeah, so am I.
I was at Barnes & Noble. To me, that's a fun thing. Somebody else might say, Barnes & Noble? But whatever it is that you discover about yourself that you like, go start doing it. Start living life. I went ziplining 3 years ago, and I overcame my fear of heights. I didn't know how I was going to overcome that fear. So, just doing things like that, when you're journaling, doing that bucket list, making the list of things that you like and that you want to do for yourself. I think it's important.
Absolutely. Very important. Sasha, is there anybody that has questions in the guest zone?
I've seen some activity, but everybody seems fairly quiet today. But you know what? We've been having such a great chat that I wouldn't be surprised if they're just having a hoot along with us. But we have had quite a few viewers, and I know that I'm having a ton of fun. But for anybody who is out there watching right now, please always keep in mind that I do sit and watch the YouTube channels as well as our Twitter and social media channels in case you have any questions for our wonderful guests.
And thank you for that. Just give me 1 second here because I really have to cough. So I'm going to have to put this on mute so I do that. So you all talk yourself.
That's okay. We can handle it. You go cough. But you know what, Khadija, I really think that it's important that we take that time for self-love. Now, I mean, we've been doing a lot of different topics on this, and I mean, most of us are advocates, myself included. But I'm thinking about our audience, especially people who may just be in the thick of it or may just be getting to the other side. What would you say are some of the most important things that you can do to try to encourage that journey to self-love?
Wow, that's a great question. I would say if you are maybe still in the situation and you just know, maybe right now you don't know how you're going to get out, but that this is not healthy and this is not for you. Begin to make a plan. Come up with some kind of plan on when you're going to get out. Because it's easy for us to say get out right now. But if fear is keeping you there, if he's saying that he's going to hurt your family, whatever it is that he may be saying or she might be saying to you that has you like in this place of fear and not being able to move, start planning and start making a way and figuring out a way, your exit strategy. I guess I'll say exit strategy. Start planning that. Mirror work is really important. I'm a big fan of mirror work. I don't think that we as a society really look at ourselves in the mirror, because we're always like projecting out. We're looking at television and we're looking at the internet and we're seeing these perfect bodies in magazines and Facebook, right? Facebook makes you look perfect and your life is perfect. But really get in the mirror and start doing some mirror work and saying, I love you every day. And I still do this. I started this years ago. But every day I get up in the morning and I say to myself, I love you, Khadija. And I don't care who doesn't love you. I don't care what they feel about you. I don't care what they think about your body. I don't care. I love you. And I think you're an amazing person. I think you're a wonderful person. And I do that every day, no matter what's going on in my household, no matter if I got up on the wrong side of the bed. And I can't begin to explain to you what has come from me from within that I am able to project out. And being in that state also helps you to build your self-esteem. It helps you to really start to see you. And I don't like to get into religion or spirituality all the time. But for me, knowing that God loves me and whatever your higher power is, hey, hold on to that. Or if you don't have a higher power, maybe it's your higher self. That's cool too. But knowing that that higher self is there and that that higher self exists, or that higher power exists, and knowing that you are loved, that if you don't see an outward display of that, knowing inwardly that you're loved is so very key and vitally important to building yourself up and building your self-esteem up.
Yeah, I absolutely think that's fantastic. And it brings up good points. And I think it's just as easy as starting as something small. I mean, that's the same thing that I had to do, is look in the mirror and talk to myself and tell myself that I was great and wonderful. Now, one thing that kind of leads me to inquire, because it's something that I encountered, is I did the mirror work, but I was definitely in a very dark place for a long time. I mean, it's a lot to handle. Trauma generally is. And it was almost very difficult for me to be able to continue, because I kept feeling like what I was saying wasn't true. Now, a lot of the people out there might face that same challenge, going, wow, I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I don't love myself. But I found that the more I did it, the more it became true. What are your thoughts?
I would have to agree with you, because it wasn't like, the first day I did it, I believed that. Heck no. Because my mind was like, that's not true. What do you mean? Do you know how much you weigh? Do you see those pimples? That negative self-talk is going to be there. And quite honestly, the negative self-talk never goes away. It never goes away. The thing is to manage it. And maybe you guys might think I'm nuts, but I talk back to my negative self-talk. And I say things like, thank you for sharing. I appreciate you sharing that. But I still feel this way, or I still am magnificent, or, oh, that's interesting. That's an interesting thought. Oh, you think I'm fat? That's interesting. I mean, even if I am, I'm still fabulous. I'm still magnificent. And that didn't happen overnight. And it's not going to happen overnight. And we know that. But to be consistent and to really get that if you did not have a purpose on this planet, you would not be here. You would not be here. You'd be gone. But if you're here every day that you are here on this planet, that means that you have a purpose. That means that you are loved. That means that you are needed. That means that you are valued just by your very existence.
Absolutely. Such great content there for sure. One thing I did want to say is that when you're looking at leaving a situation like that, to please get support and help. The most dangerous times in an abusive relationship are when you are trying to leave and during pregnancy. And so because it is so dangerous, get professional help. There's 1-800 numbers that can walk you through creating an emergency plan, an escape plan that will keep your safety in the highest manner. And so that's one thing that I did want to say, is that yes, begin with doing the mirror work and begin with doing that. And as you're creating that plan, to make sure you get help. And if you want to, we do have a very secret Freebirds group that you can contact Carol and tell her that you are looking for help, and she will connect you with the secret Freebirds group. And then there's also, again, the national lines, the domestic shelter in your neighborhoods. There is help out there, and there is help online as well. So I just wanted to mention that, because while some of that work, I mean, it's key, it's also important to be very, very safe out there, because yeah.
Absolutely.
And it is sad that we have to bring it down to that. We were having such a good time. It's such a good time. And yes, on the other side, but I mean, the fact of the matter is that we are dealing with potentially dangerous situations. And so we don't want to minimize that fact, but definitely look at all us. All three of us here, all three across the screen are survivors, and so is every other board member of the Freebird team, and there are thousands more. So don't let him or her convince you that you are alone, because you are not. That's my say on the piece. Do we have any questions in from the audience? It is running into that 6:32 hour, so we'll see if there's any questions. We can keep this going as long as the questions keep coming, but we do have busy lives out there, so we won't keep us going all night long.
Well, like I said, we have had some great viewership. Some people have been popping in and out. But we don't have any questions. I think we've probably been dealing those topics pretty well and filling in the gaps. But I will also take a moment to remind everybody that if you do have questions following any of our presentations, if you want to get in touch with the people that we're meeting, if you want to find out more about our products and services, you can always reach out to us. All of us are more than happy to discuss. Linda, Patricia, myself, and Carol are always at your availability, and you can visit us online as well. So just keep that in mind, guys, if you do have questions that come up after.
And Khadija, did you have any final thoughts before we go into our quick fashion show this evening?
If anyone wants to reach out to me, you can find me on Facebook at Khadija Ali. Just put me in the search engine or search bar, and I'll pretty much pop up. Also, if you want to learn more about me, you can go to my author's page. It's www.theunwelcomecommittee.com. You can learn more about me and what I do there. And I just want to say thank you to both of you guys for allowing me to share my story tonight.
And thank you so much for joining us. Every story helps to spread that message of hope and healing out there. And now it's time for the fashion show. If everybody noticed, I am wearing my brand new, I did a live stream yesterday, and I am going to push the chair out of the way so you can see a little bit more of it, because it's really cute. So you can see a little bit here how it comes in the front and it scoops around, and it just covers the hips so beautifully. So you see that? And it's swingy.
Yes.
Yay. Okay, so that is one of the fabulous finds that you will find at thefreebirdshop.com. And if Sasha wants to take a moment to talk about her pretty boutique turquoise and purple.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've worn this one before. Here, I'll do the little shuffle back too. But I have worn this one before, so you've probably seen it. but I have to say this is probably one of my favorite. You'll notice it's got some really nice side taper, much like Patricia's. You can also see it's comfortably covering the back, but not too long. It really pairs well with a nice little mid belt right about here. But either way, I love the colors. Super, super comfy. I'm like wearing pajamas. And you can find all of these, what Patricia's wearing, what I'm wearing, on the freebirdprojectshop.com.
And that's it for your, thank you so much for putting up with our commercial, our dear viewers out there. And I do hope you will tune in to our next sessions on Saturday. We have Nancy Vito, and who was the other one, Sasha?
There's 3 now, because if you guys remember, Natasha Koo, we were supposed to do a session with Natasha Koo during our first week, but there was technical difficulties called, I don't know how to tell what time it is, and so we weren't able to connect. Well, she's actually coming back. She's going to do her session on Saturday, so we've got 3 amazing sessions that day. I cannot wait.
Yay! Okay, so we've got a wonderful, wonderful collection coming up on Saturday. And of course, we have all of the previous sessions. We've been going for 2.5 weeks now. So we have all of our previous sessions available for instant replay. So you can hear about Barb's on confidence. You can hear Mark talk about what to do if you have an unsupportive partner and you still want to succeed. He's got the keys in that one. We have had Sohaila, who did her belly dancing and really gets you in touch with that feminine side. We've had Denicia talk about the power and how you can harness the power of your cycle. And there was a key selling tool in there for those of you who willing to dig into that tough subject and watch it. There were some key things in that one. And so, yes, we've got the instant replays. We've got the live stuff coming up. So please spread the word. The Free to Fly online conference and fashion show. I am Patricia with Y, Director of Operations. And
I'm Sasha over here, Director of Finance and Marketing, and our absolutely fantastic guest. Please feel free to give everybody a rundown again on where they can find you.
Just on Facebook, really quick, Khadija Ali, just put it in the search bar. I'll pop right up. Or if you want to find me on my website, www.theunwelcomecommittee.com. And I thank you guys again for having me.
thank you for being here. And